Hello and welcome back to Fallout 76. Today we are hunting bobbleheads. Now the reason we are doing that has to do with the new legendary crafting system. Many of the legendary mods will require bobbleheads as part of the crafting recipe. Things like specials, so if you want like legendary intelligence, legendary endurance, that will take an intelligence or an endurance bobblehead. The aristocrats effect, for example, will take a caps bobblehead. So I figured it was a good time to get a head start on collecting bobbleheads since that's not something that I normally do. Now, if you are hunting bobbleheads, I do recommend this perk, Percept Bobble. It's a 1-point perk card and it's under perception, and it will give you a directional cue, like a little audio cue, when you are near the bobblehead. Because sometimes, they are loose items in the world, and sometimes they may not be exactly where you expect. They may fall down. And so just if you look at it visually, you may not see it and you move on where it's actually just kind of fallen down and it's kind of hidden. So that audio cue can actually be very helpful. Now the title says 25 locations. I actually have 26, and many of those locations actually have multiple bobblehead spawn points. So if you get lucky, you should be able to come away with quite a few. So the first spot we're going to check is Wavy Willard's Water Park, which is at the top of the map, and it actually has 4 different spawn points for bobbleheads. So the first location is right here by the pool. What you actually want is the utility, kind of the utility building. I'm not sure what you'd call it. It says employees only, and there is a workbench right inside. So we didn't get lucky with this first spot, but the spawn point is actually on this tool shed, on this tool rack right here, this horizontal board. And as you can see, here's a picture of what exactly where it would be placed, what it would look like if you happen to get lucky enough for it to spawn. So for the next one, we want to just go out this other door, just to the left of the tool shed as you're facing it. And you actually want the locker area straight ahead. So here's the area. It says lockers right here. And you actually just want to go under the L. So right under the L, we have this last locker on the end, and it's actually going to be on this shelf, not on the inside. Get that out of there. But it's this second shelf right here. It'll actually be sitting, and you can see the picture. So far, we're unlucky. And I've noticed that with bobbleheads, it's that way sometimes. It'll be really streaky. Sometimes you'll go to a server and you'll just find them most of the places you go. And sometimes it just is really stingy and you just won't find any. And you just have to be persistent. So for the next location, we're going to go down into the flooded area. So here's the entrance right behind me. And you just want to make your way kind of up and around. If you've ever done the quest Bureau of Tourism, you know exactly where this location is. But there'll be usually a bunch of scorched here, and you want to go right down there through the gate and down the stairs. Another area that's employees only, and just through the door, and we'll go past a door right here, and it's around the corner. And usually there are scorched down here. Sometimes they're dead. It depends. If there's a daily quest where you have to kill scorched, usually these are the kind of areas that, are kind of cleaned out. And it would be right on top of this toolbox right here. So far we're 0 for 3, which isn't a good start, but there's a picture of what it would look like. All right, so for the last spot here, easiest is probably just to go out this door and up and around. This will take you out. And actually what you want to do is get up onto the tracks any which way you can. You want to get onto... We're going up into the mouth there. That's what we want. So you want to find a way to get into the tracks. Jetpack makes it really easy, but even if you don't, this area right here, this spot, we have the broken wall. This is low enough. You could actually just hop right in without a jetpack or marsupial, anything. And you should be able to just run straight ahead. Now, there are some traps we want to watch out for. There's a bear trap, and then there's a couple of punji boards. And we've got metal shelves right here. And again... it would be right here on the corner, right here. So again, we got 0 for 4 at Wavy Willard's. And honestly, that's what I found when I was scouting this out. I spent a lot of time server hopping just so I could make sure I could verify every single location that I'm showing you in the video. Wavy Willard's took the most amount of time, and I think it's just because it's frequented by so many players that people just grab these. So Wavy Willard's has 4 spots, but very often you come away 0 for 4. But that's what it looks like. And also on the table right here to your left, this is a magazine spawn point. And there's a few locations like that where you'll have a bobblehead spawn and there'll be a magazine spawn right by it. So maybe you want to use the magazine. There's a magazine perk that gives you the same kind of audio cue that you would get for bobbleheads for magazines. So if you're hunting both, a lot of times you can find both in the same places. All right, the next location we're going to check is Black Bear Lodge. It's not too far away from Wavy Willard's. And this is another place that's scorched. So that's one thing I've noticed is places that have scorched tend to have... Okay, we got a little battle going on. Places that have scorched tend to... It seems like they're just more heavily trafficked by other players. And so very often you'll find Oh, I can actually hear it. So we're gonna find a bobblehead here. So you want to go downstairs. Usually there'll be 1 or 2 scorch just kind of chilling. So take care of them. And you want to go towards the little machine, the one that gives you the Hunt Master quest for the daily. And it's gonna be right here on the desk. So we got a charisma one, but you can hear the sound. It's not super loud, but it will be directional. So if you listen for it, you can usually tell which direction you need to go. If it's, maybe you know the location, because a lot of these I knew the location, but not the exact spot. And using that perk would actually help me kind of hone in on where the spot was. So we finally got lucky. It only took five tries to get our first bobblehead. Our next location is Aaronholt Homestead. It is sort of, it's the upper left-hand corner of the map. You can see there's Wavy Willard. So it's just right here. And this actually has 3 different spots where a bobblehead can spawn. So from the spawn point, the first spot we want is actually just right there, that house. So as we get close, if you have the perk card, you'll be able to hear it. And so it can actually save you a trip inside if you don't hear the sound of the... Yeah, and I'm not hearing it either. So you wouldn't need to go inside if you were just checking that. But we're going to go inside anyway, and I could show you exactly where the spawn point is. Because this one can actually be kind of tough. If you don't have the perk, got a few bugs in here. There will be rad roaches. There's dogs all over on the outside. But if you don't have the perk, this one, even with the perk, this one was hard for me to find. So the spawn is actually right here in the corner on the ground, right there where I'm pointing, that corner between the wall, the bookcase, and this turned over end table right here next to the bed. So right here, as you can see in the picture, this is the spawn point for the bobblehead. But like I said, you should be able to hear it from the back of the house. Once you get close enough to the house, you should be able to hear it. So if you come to this area and you have that perk equipped and you don't hear the sound, you don't need to go into the house, whatever. You should be able to hear it. So next up, we want to go out of the house, back out the front door. We want to go to that house over there, that blue one with the white door. And again, you should be able to hear it at this point. And I'm not, so it's not going to be here. But we want under the crib. It's right here. It'll be right here under just right by this leg of the crib, right underneath. That's where the bobblehead will spawn. And you can see that's what it would look like with the picture. Somebody has a camp out here, so we're hearing the camp turret. So we want to go out for the spot number 3. Want to go out and around, and our destination is actually that shed over there by the silos. So this is a level 1 lock shed, and usually there'll be some kind of creature in there, either a mole rat or like a stingwing or a blood bug. I guess a blood bug, not a stingwing, but there should be some sort of enemy in here typically if this is locked, but it is level 1 lock, and you should be able to hear the bobblehead at this point, and I cannot hear it. So another location where we're striking out, there we go. I did hear the mole rat. So the bobblehead would actually spawn right here, kind of on this beam, on this the framing right here. There's the tool chest, so it's just to the left of the tool chest. That's where the bobblehead would spawn, as you can see from the picture. There's also a magazine spawn in here, inside this bucket. Very frequently, you'll find a magazine in there as well. So this can be another 2-for-1 spot. But yeah, again, we struck out, and that's just something that happens when you're hunting for bobbleheads. You'll miss more than you'll hit. Our next location is just down the road a little bit, and it is Lady Janet's Soft Serve. Now this place has a few ghouls. There's just one spawn point. It's a small location. So we have ghouls over here, and what you want is actually the roof over there. So even if you don't have a jetpack, so we'll do this. I have a jetpack, but suppose you don't have a jetpack or marsupial, you should be able to make the jump. And I can hear it, so that's cool. Good news. I get tired of just showing pictures. It's nice to actually see success once in a while, but it's right here. So this one can be very easy to miss without that bobblehead perk. Even with the perk, it took me a while to find this. So yeah, it's just sitting right here, kind of on the beam inside the broken roof. But this is another one. There's, 4 or 5 ghouls. But yeah, we found 2 so far, so good going. All right, next up we have Landview Lighthouse, pretty well-known location. The event Path to Enlightenment takes place here. And there's actually 2 spawn points for bobbleheads. Not much in the way of enemies. There's a couple of ghouls over near the lighthouse, another one over near this pavilion right here. And yeah, they actually may be dead. It kind of depends on the traffic in the server. But we're just gonna run right in, go upstairs, and the spawn point, let's take care of this rad roach right here. We don't hear the queue. So the spawn point is actually right here behind the ashtray next to the terminal. That's where it would show up, and you could see from the picture exactly where it would be. Now for the next one, we actually want to go into the lighthouse, just straight across from the actual house, and we're going to go upstairs. And It's easy to know you're in the right place because it's going to be in one of the windowsills, but you'll know you're in the right place because it's also a spawn point for a rad roach. And I'm not hearing any audio cues. Yeah, it would be right here. My character's obviously not all that strong, so it would actually be right here in the window. Looks like last time we found an agility bobblehead. Next up, we have Alpine River Cabins, and there are actually 2 spawn points here. So the first spawn point is, I believe it's this log cabin right here, right in front of me. Oh, all the weird noises here really, like, what's that noise? It sounds like a jet engine. I forget it. Let's see. You'll know you're at the right spot because it's this door that's got, it's been chewed through, and I don't hear anything. So what we have is we have this fire breather tape on this save. So that lets you know that you're in the right spot. And it would actually be right here on the edge of the top bunk bed, right on that corner, as you can see from the picture. And the other location, I believe, is right here. Let's see, it'll have a ghoul in it, and it'll have, yep, this is the right one. You'll know you're in the right one because it has the bear rug. So that's the one you want, and it's actually, again, not in here, but it'll be right here under the corner of the bed on the floor, as you can see from the picture. Next stop is Marigold Pavilion. You can see it's right next to the Mothman event. So that is the next stop. There's only 1 spawn point here. And what could be here is kind of anything. Sometimes you can get friendlies, sometimes you can get, sounds like, well, that's a lot of ticks. All right, well, hopefully they just ignore me. They'll let this guy deal with it. But I can't hear any of the audio cues. Oh, I can't, oh, well, okay, hang on. This tick wanted to play. But you can see we got lucky right here. Between these 2 beds, so you go up to the 2nd story, and right in front of this post right here, we've got a bobblehead caps. That's actually helpful if you are going to do the Aristocrats legendary mod. The next stop is Silva Homestead, and there are actually 2 spawn points here. First one is in the house, and there are usually 4 ghouls. I think there's usually 4 ghouls in here that you'll have to take care of. All right, and I don't hear it. So anyway, so you go in the front door and just go left up the stairs, and what you want is this dresser here, or yeah, I guess it's a dresser. Anyway, so it's going to be on the corner just to the right of this vase. When I found it before, as you can see in the picture, it was actually leaning against the wall. So that's spawn point number 1. And behind the house, up the hill, we have the barn with the silo. This is where Project Beanstalk happens. That's where you would go to initiate the quest. And that is also where the other spawn point is. And it should be, nope, I hear nothing. But it would be right here. Turn off, it's really bright. Sometimes the lighting's really rough, which is why some of those pictures are really rough. But as you can see, it was just sitting here between the ashtray and the lamp. That is where the spawn point would be for that bobblehead. The next spot is the giant teapot, and there are 2 spawn points here. So we'll check out the one. There's one in the house, and there's one in the red rocket. So we'll just go to the one in the house. First, there is Sweetwater, ready to give us our daily quest. We want to go upstairs and into the bathroom. Usually there is a critter or 2 in here. And we don't hear it, but normally it'd be on the floor. It could actually be a little tricky to grab because of the hole in the floor, but it's on the floor just to the right of the toilet, as you can see in the picture. All right, the other one is in this red rocket right here, and it is behind, oh, there we go, behind the counter. And again, not spawning in, but it would actually be right next to this 10mm pistol just to the left of it. And that would be the spawn point for that. Next up, we have Ohio River Adventures right here on the shore of the river. And basically from the spawn point, you just want to go straight ahead. Want to make our way around towards the dock. There's a mirelurk, something else will shoot it, but you want this boat that is right here, this one. And I hear nothing. So anyway, the boat will be, you'll know you're in the right spot. Fiber optics bundle is usually something you can grab right here. So it'll be sitting right here on top of, that's a lot of shooting for one mirelurk. It'll be right here on the little control terminal here is where it will spawn, as you can see from the picture. The next stop is the Charleston Trainyard, right here from the spawn point, and you don't need to go down inside. It's going to be this office that's upstairs here, which is kind of nice. It means I don't have to, oh, but I can actually hear it. Cool. We'll actually be able to find it. Usually there's a liberator in here, or very often there, yep, right there. It's glowing, which means there is a Mothman priest somewhere, which I don't care about at all, but we want to go all the way to the end. And right here, there is a letter of resignation on this desk. So it's just right behind there, as you can see, and there's a lamp. So yeah, sneak bobblehead right there. So we got lucky this time, nice. Next up, we have Camden Park, and there are 4 spawn points here. So here we have the front gate. So right inside the front gate, what you want is that Camden Park Express. That'll be our first stop. And it's just right around here on the other side. And I'm not hearing any kind of audio cue at all, but it'll be right here in the thing. It'll actually be up against this, some version of sitting next to or on top of this skeleton, as you can see from the picture. So the next stop we want is actually the employee building. If you've ever done the quest where you have to come and put on your uniform and clock in, that is the next stop. But as we're approaching the door, I can actually hear the audio cue, so we're gonna get lucky this time. It's right on top. Yep, there we go. Little agility bobblehead. Yep, agility bobblehead. So it's right by this picture of the two barns, right under there on the second on the right, the filing cabinet. So there we go. We got lucky. Nice. So the next spot we actually want is underneath the roller coaster area. There's an area in the back that's like a raider base. It's an abandoned raider base. But easiest is just to come back through here. Might as well take these cans, maybe, if I could take them. There we go. A little bit of lag. Whenever the Mothman Equinox is going, that's what happens. We want to go all the way to the back here. And we've got a display case, which is empty. And we have a barrel, which is empty, but it would actually be sitting right on this barrel. Sometimes there'll be a stealth boy, something like that in the display case. And you can see from the picture, that's where it would be sitting. It's right on this barrel. And sometimes inside this outhouse right here, sometimes this is a spawn point. Well, it is a spawn point, and sometimes you can find a magazine in here as well. So if you look up from this spot, that is our next destination. It's actually on the tracks. We want to go in that shack up there. So that's what we want to do. Now, if you have a jetpack, whatever, it can be a lot easier. We are going to do it the long way. We'll just go up and around through here, and I think this will do it. Yeah, we can just get on the tracks and then just kind of work your way up over these cars. You don't need a jetpack and you don't need marsupial to do this. I've done it without both, but yeah, even with a jetpack, it's a little bit fiddly. And there's nothing here, but you can see it would normally be, it's really hard to find. When I found it the one time, it took me a bit, even with the audio cues. It's usually wedged face down, as you can see, kind of on the side of the track is where you'll find it. All right, the next stop is Middle Mountain Pitstop. You can see it's right here they're close to the White Spring. And you kind of spawn right in the middle of things. And what you want is, it's this building right here, the Booze and Brahmin. It's the middle building. And there is a fireplace. And over the top of the fireplace, it would actually spawn right here on this little shelf right. Well, yeah, we'll call that a shelf. It would spawn right here on top of this shelf, as you can see in the picture. And usually the lighting is bad, so it makes it tough to take good pictures. So the next stop is Emmett Mountain Disposal, which is actually very close to where we just were. And there are 3 spawn spots here. The first one we want is all the way up there. When you see those blue, whatever those things are, that's where we want to head, is all the way up top. And typically when you come through here, there'll be some sort of ghoul attack because, you know, that's just the way they roll here. But you want to go wind around, and supposedly this door is a level 1 door. I have never found it closed, so I don't know. But there's usually 2 ghouls here. There's usually one kind of stand in the doorway and then another one that comes out to investigate. But I am hearing nothing. It would be right here between these 2 barrels right here. It would be right here on the ground, as you can see in the picture. So from here, the next one, you just want to go towards the entrance. So we're going to go right around into the big hangar area and just head towards the door. And what we want is actually this sink right here. And inside this sink is the spawn point, as you can see, but there's nothing here for us this time because we didn't get lucky. And the third one is actually inside. Now, my experience is this one is almost never here. So what we want, just head towards the area if you've ever done Radiation Rumble. Basically, you have this forklift right here. And it would be, you can usually see it right here. It would be sitting right on that joystick, or right near that joystick is the spawn spot. At least that's where it showed up, as you can see in the picture. That's where it showed up for me. But this is one of those ones that I almost never find. The most common one actually was the sink outside. I found that most of the time when I checked this location. But yeah, this is a pretty rare one, but this is the third one. Next up, we have Sons of Dane compound. This is where One Violent Night takes place. And there are 3 spawn points here. So the first one we want is the main house right there. And there's a few ghouls here and there, not a ton. You're not going to get mobbed by them, but it is something to be mindful of. Now, I think I should be able to hear it. What we want is actually the very top floor. And there's usually a ghoul right here. And the spawn point would actually be on the corner of the desk, to the left of this lamp. That's where it would show up, as you can see in the picture. All right, so directly across from the house, we have the barn. That's where the event takes place, and that is our next stop. And usually from here, as you get towards the entrance, you can tell, because what we want is actually the amp on the stage. You know, that big orange thing right there. It would spawn right here, right on the, kind of on this side of the amp, as you can see. So we just go right back out the way we came. We want to go around here to their little target range, I guess, is what you would, I guess that's what you'd call it. And it would be right here. Yeah, this would be the spot. It would be right between the vodka bottle and this canister. In the picture, there is no canister, but this is the spot where it would spawn. So we struck out at this location. So the next spot we have is the NAR Repair Yard. And usually it's, or very often, it's World War III down here. So it was Super Mutants versus Scorch. So once I took care of that, so what we want is up there. But I'm seeing we got a bonus spawn here. So this is a spawn for a weapon, or rather armor plan. So marine arms. So if you're looking for those kinds of things, this is a spot you can check. But what we're looking for is bobbleheads today, and we actually want to go up here. And, well, okay, don't fall down the stairs. And what we want is not here, but it will be right here on top of this filing cabinet just to the left of that box. Right next we have Firebase Hancock, and there's just one spawn here. And usually we have, I think Scorched is usually what you're going to find here. All right, so we have that big surface-to-air missile thing, and we want this trailer right here. Now, I don't hear anything, so I know it's not here. But we have the military ammo bag, which is worth coming, but we've got just to the right of that, the spawn point for a bobblehead. And if we go across here, there's not another bobblehead, but there's a spawn for a recipe right here. So if you're farming recipes, this is something you want to check. Next up, we've got Lost Home, which is basically in between the two places we just were. So we have Lost Home, and there are 2 spawn points here. And this could be a whole assortment of things which you find here. All kinds of, could be enemies, could be friendlies. Could be, looks like could be nothing. Oh, I hear, oh, people talking. Okay, so the first spot is right here on the roof, and you don't need a jetpack or anything like that. There's just stairs right here. And what we want is actually this part, this blue crate right here. This is where it would spawn, as you can see from the picture. Now, directly from here, if you just want to go straight back, there is a shed right here. And the other spawn point is inside this shed. And of course, I don't hear anything, but it'll be right here in this crate right here by this paint. You can see from the picture, we found one before. It was just poking its head up just a little bit. So definitely helps to have that perk card that'll give you the audio cues, because you won't always see it. And just as a bonus right here, if we go to this other building, there is a spawn point on this table for, I think it's right here. Well, Fusion Core, nice. But on this table right here, there is a spawn point for a magazine if you're hunting for those. All right, next stop is Appalachian Antiques right here, just kind of on the outskirts of Watoga, and there are 2 spawn points here. This place will have a few ghouls in it, and usually you can hear at least one of them when we get to about right here. Oh, there's a Mothman Priest, Joy. So we want to go straight in. I'm not hearing any audio cues. I think we're going to strike out here. We're going to be 0 for 2, but this will be either a Wendigo or a glowing one up here. Looks like we got a Wendigo this time. Okay, so what we want, this one's a little hidden. It's pretty well hidden, and honestly, I've had a really high success rate finding this one, I think just because it is hidden. But you would actually find it right here on this side of the bed, as you can see on the floor up against the leg from the bed frame right there. So this is the first spot you can find, and I find this a lot. I think it's because it's hidden and people just don't pick them up. The other one is actually on the roof, so we can just go right out here. And again, we're striking out because I know where it would be. Just go to the edge of the roof here. We have this little thingy right here. We've got wind chimes right there. That lets you know we've got a priest down there. He's super annoying. Anyway, it would be sitting right here, just right up against this little thingy that's sticking up. But we struck out twice this time. Okay, the next one we have is Watoga Estates. Now, Watoga has so many bobbleheads. There's a lot of spawn points in Watoga, but I am not using those. I'm only going for a couple. So, because a lot of them are in interior locations, and to me, that if you're farming something, once you have to go through loading screens, it just slows you down. So we've only got a couple for Watoga. So the first one is Watoga Estates, and it's actually, which is that building up there, and it's actually all the way up. So if we just do a little switch back here, up the stairs, don't miss the stairs. And what we want is to wind our way up. We're actually headed to the bar, which is right there. There's the bar. And what we want is actually behind the counter, and it would actually be right, make sure I get the exact right shelf. It would be this shelf right here is where the bobblehead would spawn. Sounds like there's a war going on over my head, but we've got Watoga Transit Hub for the other location. It's right by Watoga Estates. And there's the Transit Hub. Now this one you do need a level 3 lockpick, but it's in this hidden room back here, if I go in the right direction. And right back here, it's a level 3 lock. And it would actually be right here on the desk. Right next to this broken terminal is where it would be sitting. This is a pretty good location. You can get a fusion core from here. You can find a power armor frame. Usually there's a laser rifle right there for scrapping. So this is actually a pretty good spot just in general for loot, but we struck out this time. All right, still in the Cranberry Bog, we've got Bootlegger Shack, and there are 2 locations here. So the first one we want is just inside this building. And there's usually scorched here pretty much almost all of the time there's scorched, but we're going to just kind of ignore them. And what we want is actually these crates right here. And if we go, oh, there it is. We found one. Awesome. So on the crates, or next to the crates on this cardboard box, that is the bobblehead number 1. There's also a recipe as we go back out towards the door, recipe spawn. And if we go around here, there is a basement that is locked. This is a level 3 lock, by the way, but we do have this basement. And if you go inside this basement, so let's open up the door, and what we want is actually this weapon rack right here. Now, there'll be a couple of rad roaches that want to give you a bad time, but right here on this little, I don't know, this piece of wood right here, this is where the other spawn point would be. So we got 1 out of 2, which isn't too bad. Now we have the flooded train yard, and there is only 1 spot here, and this place is full of snallygasters, so it's debatable whether this one is worth it, but you can usually get there without any kind of fighting if you want to. So what we actually want is, you can kind of see it straight ahead. We are looking for the rusted crane. There is a tower over in that direction. So we're just gonna run in and kind of make our way. You can kind of stay on top of the trains. If you have a jetpack, you have marsupial. There's actually ramps all over the place as well. But what we want is still not, oh, there it is. That's what we want, right? Well, no, that's the terminal. We want to go a little bit farther over. That's what we want right here. We want this tower right here. And of course, I am in danger. I wasn't able to snake my way in, but they're not gonna bug me up here. So we just wanna go right inside here, inside this tower right here. And the bobblehead would be right on the edge, right in front of this cardboard box next to this terminal. I think this is a level 3 safe as well. So that could be something you wanna maybe check. You can find weapon plans and stuff in there, but nothing this time. So this whole thing was kind of a swing and a miss, but this is the next spot. All right, next up, we have two locations kind of in one fast travel spot. First, we have the Ranger Lookout. And what you want is actually to go all the way to the top. And as you get close, you would be able to, is that an enemy? No, all right, Settler Engineer. As you get close, you'd actually be able to hear it, but it would be right here on the table just to the left of the binoculars, and obviously it is not here. And the other spot is the Ranger District Office, which is in the same spot. If you fast traveled to either one of those, I think it puts you in the exact same place. So from the lookout, we actually want that end of the building. All right, so we just go in the building right here. What we want is this first office right here, and you can see because it is Ranger Simmons Terminal, it will tell you, and there'll be a holotape right there, but it would actually be on the filing cabinet here, right by the radio. That is where it would show up, as you can see from the picture. Next, we've got Firebase Major. Typically with this, you'll usually just have a few ghouls outside, and what we're looking for is just the tent right there. There's not really much here. There's the tent, there's the service to air, and that's it. There's a Jeep right here. But if we go around the tent, and I'm hearing nothing, so that's not a good sign. All right, took care of all the ghouls. So what we want inside the tent would actually be just to the left of this military ammo bag. So again, we didn't get lucky. So there's a bunch of locations to get you started on your bobblehead hunting. Obviously, that's not even close to all the locations. Bobbleheads are kind of all over the place. And my advice would be, if you really want bobbleheads, just equip that perk and just have it going all of the time. Hopefully you found this useful. If you did, please hit one of the buttons, and I hope you'll join me in the next one. Thank you very much.